our first qualifier, or at least the first one that we're casting, Chappie versus, what is it, Purple Dino? Somebody that is going on a Mighty Kiwi's channel. But that is enough of that. We are now here on Oxide LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the blue Zerg player coming out from the land of Sydney. He is going to be representing OSC Elite, although he is currently teamless. We have the piano man himself, Vivid.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the Australian Terran player himself. He is green, representing himself, and also formerly of 1F Pro. It is Aconsises.
Real quick before we start talking about things that matter and stuff that's in game, so address Ice real quick. I was thinking of wearing a hat today, Ice, but then I looked at my hair when we were doing the webcam check, and I thought, I can't contain this. Not today. Can't deprive the world of this.
It's true, wild and unruly and disgusting. Shaking my head. Oh god, it's always awkward trying to wear a hat while we have a headset on.
Headphones.
Yeah. We try and make it work sometimes. That's what we need. We need someone to release a line of hats that you can wear over headsets. That's genius.
It will have the holes, yeah.
Yeah. It would be like molded or something, like in a way to allow the headset to go through.
You're gonna snap down a new market.
Like, that's genius, right?
Like, we already have like the cat ear headphones, so why not do the opposite?
Exactly. God damn it.
We need to speak to the jersey manufacturers. We say we have a business proposal.
We'll be the first to come out with it. Oh my god. I'm surprised no one's done that, I'll be honest, right? Like, obviously there's no practical purpose for a hat indoors, but like for aesthetics, you know, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's about style. People that get it.
Exactly. We don't have it, and we need it. Give us the hats.
It's TF2 all over again.
Oh god. Meanwhile, yeah, this game is slowly getting underway. No massive divergences here. We do have a 30C well before that starport.
Yeah. Good old economic openings coming out from Aconsises. Vivid as well, going for the third base, but mine's definitely a bit more on Vivid for now. I want to see when he decides to just pull that trigger.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. His third base was honestly quite delayed. He ended up getting it at the 3-minute mark. It's like, oh my god. So we'll see if that comes into play. Probably not the biggest of deals, but it is something to take note of. Meanwhile, of course, Acon, he's getting into his opener, looking to potentially get into some Banshees. Potentially?
Yeah, we'll see if he decides to swap over that add-on. He should. There we go. It'd be crazy if he goes Raven first, but...
If Hud isn't here, someone has to take his mantle, okay?
Exactly! And someone's looking to be Akon.
Unfortunately not, but
one day.
One day. As the Overlord is sneaking in, confirms that it is Banshees, as there is Cloak. He's sneaking in behind the middle line in case there's like a hidden fusion core or something like that, which is always possible.
Yeah, you never want to be faked out when it comes to that cloak being researched. Aconsises misses the 2 streams of links coming across the map, and this is a bit of a flood. Hellions are on the low ground. Finally, they make it up the ramp. Very good choke point to utilize. And Vivid not getting too much damage here. Just a single SCV that was building a supply depot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, thankfully, Acon, like, his macro was on point and the Hellions came out just in time, but Link slips into the main base, just reconfirms all the production, right? Just another secondary scout, and yeah, nice defense so far by Acon.
Yeah, really hasn't taken much damage. He still has most of his units alive. He will be able to take map control for the time being. I'll see what he utilizes it for.
Yeah, as again, he has quite a number of Hellions. He has stopped Hellion production for now. He isn't going mech or anything crazy like that. And these Hellions, we'll see if they can find a way in. A lot of Lings went down earlier, but my god, that is a lot of Queens.
Oh, yeah. You ever want to know how to deal with Hellions and Banshees? Queens. That's all you need.
Exactly, a nice position there by the Lings. They deny the Hellions sneaking into the main base. The Hellions all get thwarted, they get pushed away. Whew. But thankfully, there's still a couple left, so Acon still maintains map control.
Yeah, he's definitely not getting overextending at all with his Hellions. They're getting too over his head. Again, right now, with these Hellions, it is just about the map control. He does not want to look to get any drone damage just yet. That's what the Banshees are for.
Exactly. Banshees are diving in. They were scouted earlier, so we do have spores in position, but there are two of them, so even if there's a spore, they can still one-shot these drones.
Yeah, and Banshees definitely do have a bit of health on them. You can take a couple of spore crawler shots before backing away.
That you can. Two drones already go down, and they haven't taken any damage yet, so honestly, pretty good so far by Acon. He's sharking around trying to find some more damage, but oh, he has to be careful. There is a spore in between all the bases.
Yeah, a little bit of an improvised detection setup here for Vivid before he could get Overseers out, but now the layer's complete. Overseers are on the way. It's going to be tougher for Aconsises. Acon to get damage done.
It's hard, right? Like, just because we don't know what his name is. How do you pronounce it? You just never certain. You say it one way and then you have to correct yourself just in case. Like, yeah.
At the end, you give up on trying to pronounce it. Just be like, ah, yes, a Blue Terran player.
Yeah, Acon.
Even then, it's like, is it Acon or is it Akon?
Oh my god. Meanwhile, the Banshees, they get pushed away for now. I should say, they are still alive. And meanwhile, we had a secondary scout from Vivid. He dives back in, confirms all the Raxes. Again, nothing too crazy going on. What else he confirms is the lack of tanks and the amount of Widowmites.
Which is exactly why Vivid decides to grab a Spire?
Bold move, Vivid, bold move. I love that he's setting up for the push though. He's already dealt with some of the rocks. He wants to deal with the others. He wants to make sure that he has as much freedom, as much area to maneuver around and get those surrounds going. Plenty of Lings, only a handful of Banelings though. There we go, finally a couple more morphing in.
But is it too late? Now Baneling's speed did finish up. So thankfully, Vivid does have that going for him, but the push is already here. The Widowmines in such a good setup.
Exactly, they're spread nicely. A couple of Banelings are going to be rolling in, but no, instead Vivid backs off. He gives up the base. The hatchery will go down.
Very quick reactions coming up from Aconsises. Is able to split and pull away just in time. The transfuses are on point. Wow, I don't think Vivid has lost any Queens there, but now he will. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, I completely missed this because Bio's finally getting cleaned out. Yeah, massive Ling run by.
Oh god, exactly. In the end, Vivid will just barely hold on. He lost the base, but he was able to kill 12 SCVs across the map. Meanwhile, a couple of Widowmines do burrow, and the shots will go off. Oh, the Lings are rolling on in, and can they deal even more damage?
The wall was unfortunately not a wall. Very quick split right in the last second there from Vivid. I was very impressed with Acon's push, but then I looked at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and I was like, why are SCVs dying all of a sudden?
Exactly.
Vivid has completely turned this game on its head. Or that push on its head.
Yeah. And to the point where GG gets cold and Vivid takes the first game.
Wow.
Vivid's mate, you think you're pushing me? Mate, I'm really I'm pushing you, mate.
What is it in physics? Every punch has an equal counter punch. Newton's law. That was insane. I mean, we were talking about it. We were talking about how Acon has some very powerful and some very well timed pushes, and that was one of them. Unfortunately, the trade-off there is that he didn't really have much, if any, of a defense. I mean, Vivid opening up his avenues of attack, just about all of them, able to open up that halfway to go for the Ling run by. This is a replay to look at and to watch if you're looking for something positional.
It's one of those things where we didn't expect it. I don't think Akon expected it either. He was surprised, and he was a little bit punished as well because his push was very strong, and he had very nicely spread out minefield, but it was also in the back, and he never moved it forward. And we saw it come into play at the end, like after the push had already ended, right? Like it's like you do need to be a little bit more aggressive with them. I feel, but yeah, wow.
Yeah, when you're going Widow Mines, you definitely want to push them a little bit forward. You know, usually you want the Widow Mines to get their connections and then the Marines clean up. This was kind of the opposite for Akon, unfortunately. The Marines were dealing the damage and then the mines cleaned up.
Exactly. And above all of that right there was that big counterattack. A counterattack that really did snowball, right? The wall wasn't a wall, and what a game one.
What a game one indeed. And this is why we were so excited to get into this particular matchup. It was well worth it waiting. Because now we're continuing our series here on 2000 Atmospheres LE. I'm trying to think of an Australian 2000 songs, but it's slipping. It is slipping. Jesse's Girl? Question mark? That was 80s. In the bottom left-hand corner, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the blue Zerg player coming out for the land of Sydney. He is going to be representing OSC Elite, although he is currently teamless. He is the Spring? Question mark? Is that what? How you want to describe it? You know, press him down and he will spring back out. He is Vivid.
I forgot about that. Yaku's law of aerodynamics question mark, where he's like, yeah, you know, when there's a punch, there's a counter punch. You know, it's like a spring with inertia. It's like, mate, you mean when, or as other people know it, you know, whenever there's a reaction, there's also a reaction, right?
Yes, exactly. Did I ever tell you that physics is the only science subject I passed?
Oh my god, it's spawning in the top right hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE. We have the Australian Terran. He is green, representing himself, and also formerly of 1F Pro. It is Aconsises.
Made a 1F Pro boys coming out full force today. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't 1F Pro at the time of its disbandment, the active roster switched? Well, I guess it never officially disbanded, but at the time of the disbandment, didn't a lot of them go to end up becoming? They ended up making up a different team, didn't they?
So, if I recall correctly, 1F Pro was bought out, or it was like it was like absorbed by Rise Esports.
Rise, that's the one.
Yes. So yes, that's why it's kind of weird that they have the old, like, these are players that stopped playing or that left before that even happened, that absorption happens, so they still have those clan tags.
It's like every now and then, the ladder, you see someone on the X on the amateur team, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, Sham was still on Exxon for a while as well after
after they got bought by Psystorm.
Oh god,
Gosu B, Gosu B.
Yeah, like, yeah. Well, then I'm pretty sure Dark is still on Gosu Crew, right?
He has alt accounts that are still on Gosu Crew. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure it's his main. It's like, god damn it.
Right, because Dragon Phoenix Gaming doesn't have an in-game clan, so he just changed his in-game name to DPG Dark, but his clan is still Gosu Crew.
Yeah. It's this weird thing where I don't think any Chinese team has an in-game clan tag. That's why instead they just changed their names. Like Cure is DPG Cure and DPG Zest, and like, it's shaking my head. There's no Kaizi in game.
I don't think they do. Yeah.
Nah, they don't. Yeah. Aye.
Well, at least here we do have in-game. We do have in-game clans, but for two clans that aren't active anymore. And speaking of not active anymore, Acon taking a page out of Neo's book. Kind of. He's actually going more of a battle mech style with Cyclones and Blue Flame Hellions.
Oh my god, let's go. So we have a very different opener here from these two players. Vivid just quickly checking his vision. He did not get into the main base. He has not scattered what his opponent's doing. So far, everything looks normal. This looks like a 1-1-1, right? With the amount of Hellions here. But yeah, Vivid hasn't seen the second factory, and this Marine is doing a very good job at keeping this Overlord at bay.
Yeah, that initial Marine. Ooh. And this is the Link Scout as well. Retro that cycle is going to pop out, and it could be a bit of a tell here, but, you know, for all Vivid knows, it could also just be a I don't want to make a Viking. Stitch.
Oh boy, yeah, we'll see. We shall see how this goes. Like, so far, Vivid is responding, like, pretty in a standard manner, right? We have Bailey Nest on the way, we have a lair on the way. He's been droning up quite well, but he has to be careful because, yep, the Hellions are moving out and Blue Flame just finished.
This is everything you want to see when you're the Terran player going for Blue Flame Hellions. No Roach Warren? Lings? Let's go! Queens off creep?
This is scary. This is very scary. Roach Warren is now on the way because Vivid realizes what's going on, but is it too late? All the Lings are being cleaned up. We don't have any Baileys, by the way. They're finally being morphed in, but if Acon is fast enough, he can get on top of them before they're done. He's going for them.
Yeah, even if he doesn't, he should be able to kite them. The drones are starting to line up. Ling's doing a good job of keeping them at bay. A lot of Queens are starting to go down, and the rest of them have basically no energy on them. One good Balin connection is all Vivid needs, but one good Balin connection is not what he's gonna get.
Oh my god. In the end, Vivid will be able to push Acon back. He did lose quite a number of drones, but it wasn't game-ending damage. He doesn't have any mining here at the third base, but it's kind of okay. The Roach Warren is done.
Yeah.
Roaches should be on the way soon.
I was really expecting things to snowball here for Acon, but Vivid, I mean, somehow, in every single one of his series, his defense has been impeccable. Very good flank here with the Lings, and the Queens are starting to bring in the punishment, getting a little bit, overextending a little bit, losing his high energy Queens, though.
Oh yeah, that he is, and the Queens don't have enough energy for transfuse, so they're just barely holding on with nothing but Lings. Vivid is able to push Acon away, and behind this, okay, thankfully, I was a little bit concerned if we didn't have a third base. Thankfully, third CC is done. It's not an orbital though, unfortunately. A fourth is going to be on the way. Oh my god.
Well, you got to be a little bit more greedy when you play back. Definitely need those resources, as I'm sure Ziggy, the Polish Terran player, would tell you.
Oh yeah. I don't blame him whatsoever. He has to keep the pressure up right now. Honestly, Acon doesn't have a lot at home, and I fear for his life when it comes to the Roach counterattack. Glad Reconstitution, it just finished.
That it did. That it did. Cyclones are going to be decent against Roach Ravager, but without Mag Field Accelerator, without tanks, gonna be a lot of trouble when by the time Vivid makes his way across the map.
Oh god, yeah, if he does, we'll see. So far, Vivid, he's still stuck at home defending. He's slowly getting a fourth base up behind this, and I do think that Acon has done a really good job at not overcommitting here after that first push, right? He's just keeping the creep at bay, keeping Vivid at home, keeping him, like, you know, kind of on his toes. And it looks like he may be able to get away with this, right? He's been able to buy enough time to get set up at home.
Yeah, despite not getting too much drone damage, he was able to force Vivid to make army. So Vivid, despite getting the fourth base out considerably faster, look at how much behind he is on the worker count.
Oh yeah. That's huge. That's insane. Almost to the point where I was expecting Vivid to just go all in for a big push, but he's droning up now. Like, he's trying to catch up. So Acon is in a beautiful position right now.
Yeah, third base fully saturated. That means the economy is now stable for the mech army. Floating over the fourth base. That's just going to get even better for Acon.
Oh my god.
He's got his macros absolutely on point, but with Battle Mech, it can be a little bit finicky if he gets caught out in the middle of the map.
Yeah, and Vivid, his upgrades are late. I'm not necessarily talking about, you know, the Evo Chamber upgrades, but what he needs right now are infestors for fungals, and Infestation Pit is on the way now, but again, it's not ready at the moment. Oh my god, it's not ready. Meanwhile, some Hellions just run into Banelings.
Slow Banes too. Yeah, you were talking about upgrades being a little late, and that's actually very important. You need those Banelings to bust down the supply depot so that the Lynx can just go to town on that mineral base. But as all that is going on, Vivid, the master of splitting up his army, does have a pretty massive roach run by here. Finally, tables are starting to turn a bit as Acon's economy is getting a pretty big dent.
I mean, he's being pulled apart right now. 2 tanks go down for free. Finally, Acon, he kind of diverts his attention.
Banelings!
But, oh my god, the
Banelings!
Banelings.
Thankfully, they do live.
They do live, but 19 SCVs have gone down. Like, basically, the entire mineral line at the 4th base was eviscerated.
And just like that, Vivid's able to equalize.
Oh my god, and honestly, he needed to do this. Like, he couldn't allow Acon to get away with his booming economy, right? Otherwise, Vivid would have been left in the dust. But the damage has been done, and now Vivid, he can get his 4th base saturated, he can get his hive up and running. I'm really curious as to what Vivid wants to go for exactly, because he didn't start pathogen glands for his infestors. He may not want to go into like the fungals to support his army. Maybe instead he wants to go vipers.
Yeah, Vipers wouldn't be a terrible option here with some blinding clouds. Really neutralize the cyclones and tanks, but we shall see. We definitely shall. Not sure what these tanks are doing in the middle of the map, but
Oh, they're dying, mate.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of a misrally there by Acon. Meanwhile, bam, oh my, there's no Spore. Oh no.
What? It was repositioned. No.
6 drones go down and more will fall here at the natural base. Finally, these Banshees are going to be dealt with, but 2 Banshees with 7 drone kills? Not bad.
Not bad at all, especially when you factor in the, 4 drone kills, something like that, at the start of the game.
Yeah.
Just like that, Vivid was equal, and now we're on very familiar territory where Acon is full steam ahead, especially with that 5th base, as Vivid is still on 4.
Yeah, this is disastrous. As a Zerg player, you want to be at least 1 base ahead. You know that. I know that. Everyone knows that. And Vivid is still, he hasn't even saturated his 4th. He's hurting so much when it comes to his worker count.
I have a question.
Go for it.
What does Acon have at the bottom right of the map? Oh, okay.
It's not quite a ninja, but...
yeah. I mean, it will deny a base, I guess, eventually.
It will. Oh my god, and there's no anti-air. The Banshees show up and they get to focus on whatever they want.
Hyperflight Rhodas is just about to finish up too. This is so oppressive.
Oh my god, the queens have to be repositioned and there's no detection either. Finally, the Overseer comes in, but it is slow. A couple of piles will help push these away, but Acon is just having his way with Vivid right now.
He really is. Slower style of mech really working to his favor.
I mean, you say slower style, but he has been pretty active, but he is transitioning, right? Like, that's a lot of tanks. Moving away from the battle mech, the Ferrari mech that he started with, into a more slower, solid style of mech.
Yeah, as a wise man once said, when you make base, you have to defense it. And that's exactly what Acon is looking to do with all of these tanks. He does not want to repeat of Oxide at all.
He really doesn't. And these Banshees, like, again, they're just getting so much value. In the end, they're gonna get picked off, but they forced all the queens down towards the south. The Ravager army is forced to make something happen, but the tanks are being repositioned as well. They are on siege. Ooh, but Vivid, he doesn't go in. He's waiting for the Vipers.
Vipers are coming in. Blinding clouds do land. Tanks are very much neutralized. Ooh. A lot of Cyclones still very much in play, but the rest of the blind clouds are starting to have something to say about that. Vivid's starting to move in. He's losing a lot of Roach Ravager, but not as much as Acon's mech army.
Exactly. He resets the tank count on the front line. There are so many more tanks here for Acon, but they're in the back. They're not a part of the fight.
That they are not. Planetary will be, but Planetary is also going to die. No, not a whole lot of SCVs here to repair.
And just like that, Vivid, he is bouncing back in this engagement, in this game. Again, Akon, I don't blame him, right? As a mech player, you want to spread out your tanks and defend all your bases at once, but that means that your main army, like the majority of your supply, isn't there in that big engagement.
Yeah, it does mean that regardless, you're going to take damage somewhere. A couple of Hydras now out for Vivid, really rounding off his army. How many Vipers did he lose? Because not too many.
Yeah, they all survived.
But yeah, he lost 3, but he was able to remake them. And yeah, they have plenty of energy on them. Things are definitely looking up for Vivid.
He's been down in workers this entire time, but it doesn't matter, right? His fights have been insane. These spellcasters, they are so important here for Vivid. He did accidentally kill his Baneling Nest. There we go. It is being remade.
No.
What I will say is that Vivid's army isn't amazing right now. Hydras are okay. I mean, they're a reaction due to the massive amount of Banshees, right? But what he really needs are those lurkers.
Yeah, and he needs to buy himself so much time before that can happen. Akon is looking to have something to say about that, though. Vivid trying to split up his army right now. That's a lot of tanks, and they're very well spread out. Well, they were very well spread out. A lot of them are clumped up. The blinding clouds, again, really showing their effectiveness. We were talking about how Vivid didn't have a lot of anti-air, but yeah, right now, neither does Akon. The Cyclones kind of are, but they also just get neutralized by the blinding clouds. So
mate, it was like 2 blinding clouds for 10 tanks. That was insane. Akon, he had the numbers, he didn't have the positioning, and now Vivid, he takes the fight. Now he's going for the counterattack. He knows how much momentum he has.
I could see you like sort of wincing when that fight happened. Even as a Zerg player, you were like, all of those tanks and those blinding clouds.
Yeah.
That is definitely the Zerg player's wet dream. And Vivid, as you were saying, he's full steam ahead, foot on the gas. Not a whole lot of tanks here. The army is finally starting to get thinned out, but reinforcements are on the way here for Vivid.
Mate, Vivid, he's wet and he's dreaming right now, and he is all over Akon as more tanks fall. Finally, it looks like Akon is looking to try and stabilize here, but oh my god, the rally doesn't stop. No, the base, it's being focused down.
Those SCVs still have such low health from the Balins earlier on. They were never killed, but they never needed to because they gotta kill the 3rd base anyway. GG is called. Very great showing here from Aconsises. Again, I'm really liking the variety that we're getting so far in this series from Akon and from Vivid as well. That game, a lot closer than game number 1. Maybe just tighten up a little bit in the engages, and I'm very optimistic for Akon to take game number 3.
I was optimistic for him to take game 2. Like he was.
Well,
there was so many moments there where he was looking so good, right? But Vivid. Again, we bring this up quite a bit for a couple of players, but he was very tenacious there, right? He didn't give up, despite being down in the economy, down in bases, arguably a worse army. He still did the most that he could with what he had.
A worse army, yeah. Again, it all came down to those Vipers, those blinding clouds. I know that with mech, you generally don't want to be using your barracks too much, but I do kind of feel like after a while, if Akon had a couple of ghosts, maybe able to EMP or even snipe those Vipers. Completely different story, but yeah, it is a tough call to make when you are going for a hybrid style of mech like that.
It's one of those things where, at least after the first engagement where the Vipers reveal themselves, he needed an answer to the Vipers, right? And there are some players who go Thor, there are other players who go Ghosts, there are players who just switch into get starports and get Vikings out, right? Something, anything, right? To answer those Vipers, and he didn't have an answer to them. Maybe he didn't think much of them. He's like, you know what, as long as I split, I'll be fine. But in the moment, that didn't happen.
Yeah. It looks like he wanted to rely a lot more on the Cyclones, and Cyclones, they do a lot of damage, and they are generally a really good anti-air unit, but when it comes to just sniping specific key units, they can be very finicky to control. That's why, as you were saying, Thors are something we see a lot from a lot of other pros. Very long anti-air range, and you just sort of keep them in the back.
Yeah.
They chip away.
Like, as you were saying, it's so difficult to focus fire with Cyclones, right? Like, because you have to turn off their auto targeting first, right? And you have to make sure they're safe behind the army, but also you want them to buffer for the tanks as well. Like, it's
and if your tank siege up in an opportune moment, you're like, oh no, I've just body blocked myself. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a lot to pay attention to, which, again, that's why we see a lot of players just change gears and get army compositions where you don't have to worry about that too much.
Mm-hmm.
But that is enough about the previous 2 games. We are now getting into game number 3. We're over here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Spotting all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a blue Zerg player coming out for the land of Sydney. He is currently teamless, however, representing OSC Elite still. Once again, he is on match point. He only needs un momento, por favor, uno más, to qualify for ANZ Champs 2021 Season 2. He is Vivid.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the Australian Terran player. He is green, representing himself and the old Team 1F Pro. It is Aconsises.
I think what we've learned in this series, at least, and in last season of ANZ Champs 2 as well, is that Acon, his macro is impeccable.
Yeah.
Does not miss a beat at all when it comes to producing, when it comes to making SCVs. It really is the engagements where he starts to fall apart a bit.
Exactly. Like, there's the reason why you were praising and bringing up his timings earlier when we were starting off the series, because when he does hit them, he does have like the amount of units that he needs, right? Like, it hits so powerfully. Even that Hellion, that blue flame timing that we saw earlier, it was very nicely done. But yeah, there are some moments where in the moments maybe he's again macroing at the same time and trying to position your army, trying to, I guess, engage as best you can. Like, it is where he's lacking a little bit more. But that was still very close.
It was.
Oh my god.
Let's get some ghosts out, man.
Yeah, just respect the Vipers, you know?
Yeah.
Like
and Vivid got like 5 of them. He got a lot of Vipers too.
Exactly.
Who gets that many Vipers? Well, when you're going up against mech like that, it's actually not a bad idea.
Exactly, especially when there's nothing to stop them, right? Like Vivid, he could use them. He didn't really have to babysit them. You know, that's the big thing with Vipers typically. To try and like micro them and keep them away from ghosts with their EMPs or High Templar with their feedbacks. But we'll see what happens here in game number 3. As a reminder, this is a best of 5, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is not our final game, if this goes on longer. But again, in the chat, if you're Terran, give your energy to Acon, because he is up against the wall right now.
He very much is.
Yeah. Meanwhile, see in the chat, my god, what a comeback. That was a game, mate. That was a game.
It really was. I know we're getting some TvZs here. I mean, you know, we saw, you know, our top Terran player already invited, that being Seether, and then our second top Terran player, Azure, qualified last week. I was worried we wouldn't be seeing any Terran players today, but it turns out I should have been worried about Protoss instead, because unfortunately Rise didn't miss a check-in.
Yeah, feels bad, man. I really wanted to see Rise do well this season. He was there for qualifier number 1. Unfortunately, he was unavailable for qualifier number 2. We did get confirmation that he actually has work today.
You're killing esports work. He got so close. He took it to the ace match in both qualifying matches.
Yeah, I really wanted to see Rise. I really wanted to see him do well, but it looks like not this season. Not this season.
Yeah, well, see if he pulls something off in season 3 or potentially season 1 of next year. I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be looking like. Vivid doing Vivid things, trying to pressure Acon with his Zerglings. These Hellions are in the middle of the map. One of them will get surrounded. Potentially a second one. Oh no, not a good start at all for Acon.
Mate, I think he's gonna end before they begin as 3 Hellions get taken out. All the Marines get taken out as well. These Lings are going insane right now. Boys are forced to be pulled off the line and they're falling left and right. This will be cleaned up, but 4 SCVs went down.
4 SCVs went down. 3 Hellions went down. Acon has just completely lost the map control.
Oh my god, he's lost a lot here. He is counterattacking with this Banshee, and he's gotten a handful of drone kills, which is nice. Oh, forcing a lot of lost mining time here at the natural even. Oh my god.
Yeah, this actually can be pretty massive right now for Acon.
There's still no score in the main either.
There isn't.
Oh my god. Vivid was being so greedy here with the lack of detection, and NTF finally a spore starts. But mate, there were 2 drone kills earlier. Now the additional 5. Oh my god. 6?
Not to mention all the lost mining time. Acon has over double the mineral income. Now things are finally starting to stabilize, but I feel like things have been pretty much evened out.
Yeah. Yeah, as we can see right now on the income graph, you know, at the beginning it swung in Vivid's favor, but then suddenly it just swings in Acon's favor. So even though things are looking very devastating for Acon in the beginning, like he, for the most part, has been able to equalize. For the most part.
Wow.
Oh my god. And we'll see if that keeps going, because now the Hellions are across the map. There are a handful of links here at the natural base, but the third is a little bit exposed, and they're getting into the mineral line.
Just start to line up. Acon wants to go for them. The lings are falling left and right. 5 drones will be taken out, but yeah, Acon definitely sacrificing quite a number of Hellions to that. Doesn't matter in the end though, because he's still building up the bio count. It's going to be active with Marines now instead of Hellions.
Yeah, very interesting decision, right? That, you know, he had a lot of success in game number 2 on 2000 atmospheres with his mech, but now that he's on a smaller map, he wants to go for bio instead. And I respect that, because just because we're on a smaller map, bio pushes, they can honestly hit a little bit harder here.
They definitely can, especially with these mines. And let's not forget, Acon's bio push on Oxide was about as perfectly timed as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
The actual execution of that, the actual execution of, you know, control of the army was kind of what went against his favor. That and Vivid's counterattack.
Yeah, the counter made that counterattack.
Yeah.
But we'll see how this goes here for Acon, because again, he's got his bio, right? His upgrades are finishing up 1-1. They're, you know, 80% of the way completed already. As soon as they finish up, I'm sure Acon would want to move out. Before that happens, maybe he's going for some drops.
Definitely very into that. Banelings are getting set up. Marine's not quite in position, so there's an opening for Vivid in that third base location. He spots the medevac, or at least one of his lings do.
They do. Meanwhile, the Banelings are waddling in. The wall is a wall, though. Does Acon notice this? Oh god!
It's not a wall! Ooh. 4 SCVs and I believe 2 mules have just been taken out. That is going to be a pretty massive spike in the economy. Meanwhile, Vivid did spot the medevac. Very good split here.
Yeah, exactly. Vivid, his queens were sent to deal with the medevac. The lings and the banes were threatening the third base. Vivid did lose quite a bit of larva here at the main, but again, he defended quite well, and oh god. Acon, he's gonna try again.
That he is setting up for an eventual push, just trying to clear up creep wherever he can with his double drop. And yeah, I'm liking this, but also kind of worried for Acon. He's building up for a +2 timing instead of going in with his 1-1, which on the one hand will allow him to amass a larger army, will allow him to get the upgrades he needs. But on the other hand, so will Vivid. So
and it will. We'll see if this harassment is going to be enough to keep Vivid at base so he can work up towards those upgrades. We do have a couple of... Oh my god. We do have a couple of Widowmines. Unfortunately, no drones were killed, but they did get some value. They did trade fairly well against the Lings, I guess.
Yeah, and they got a lot of lost mining time too. Super important for Vivid right now, as he is very Ling Bane heavy. He needs as much larva as possible. Does not want to be losing those drones unnecessarily. Very good defensive location right now for Acon. Vivid unable to really break that, but Species has a lot more available to defend.
I mean, Vivid did lose a lot of lings there. Meanwhile, the Widowmine drops, they just don't stop.
Detection!
No split!
No pull! 9 drones get taken out. One of the first of yeah, really the first major economic victory here for Akon, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. A really nice drop. Finally, the Overseer gets morphed in, but it's going away. Oh, okay, there we go. It does finally turn around. These Widowmines should not get second shots off, but I just love how relentless Akon has been with these Widowmine drops to the point where finally one of them did get some damage done.
Yeah, when you throw out the Widowmine drops like that unrelentingly, eventually one of them is gonna actually land, and sometimes one is all you need to start turning the tables.
Yeah, and he's not stopping either. You know, Drilling Claws is now on the way, right? So the Widowmines are still a main part of his army. Vivid, because of all these drops, he's been stuck at home. He hasn't been able to go for those run-bys or those counterattacks that we know him for.
Just like that, Akon is able to amass a pretty big economy. I love this for Akon too, utilizing the fact that Vivid has basically no anti-air. He's just going straight Lingbane into Hive, and the Infestation Pit only now being thrown down.
Yeah, it's quite late. Vivid has to rely on just pure Lingbane for a very long time here. At least I'm waiting for a potential Muta switch. Spire is done. There we go. Mutas are now on the way. But Bio, with Widowmice support, they can do fairly well against Mutas.
You definitely can, especially with Drill Claws. If they burrow right underneath the Mutas, Vivid has to be very careful of how he controls. Speaking of control, Akon +2 has finished. Comet Shields, I'm only realizing only now finishing up, but so will Drilling Claws. He's still gonna go for it.
He is at the same time a massive Ling run by not just Lings, but Banelings are being morphed in at the same time. This bio drop could deal a lot of damage because Vivid is a little bit out of position, but there we go. He does finally respond. And Akon, oh, never mind. I thought he was going to go back home with his army and be thankful for it, but there's not a lot here to defend.
It really isn't. Those mines need to borrow.
Oh god, Vivid, he's coming in. The mines, please, puppy, please.
One good shot, one good shot. That's a very good shot. But the rest of them not so much. Banelings are able to crash in, take out that bunker, take out just about every mine there too. And Ling slip on in.
Oh my god, the Lings are getting damaged on. They force Akon to come all the way back home out of position, no longer threatening the third base. And now Vivid, he is free to make more Banelings and keep the pressure up. Meanwhile, that was so unfortunate. It was like 2 Banelings for like 6 Widowmines. It was crazy. Oh my god. The Widowmine count has been neutered now for Akon, and he doesn't have that much to work with.
He really doesn't. You can split as much as you want, but at a certain point, your Zerg opponent may be able to just make as many Banelings for as many Marines you have. You really want to have some form of splash damage up.
You really do. Meanwhile, the Ling Bane is crashing on forward. A couple of Widowmine shots do go up, but I just feel like there's not that many Marines left.
Friendly fire! Oh. Yeah, the few Marines that remain do get friendly fire down, and the Mutas are finally coming into play, chasing down the stragglers, taking out the medevacs that try to hot pick up the rest of the army. This third base is forced to lift up, and every single SCV there was taking out 2. Are the Banelings actually gonna finish up? That would be insane.
They're on the way, mate. No, the medevacs, they get picked off as they're trying to retreat. The Mutas finally come into play, shutting them all down, and now in come those Banelings that you were talking about. They did finish.
Hey, you know, Akon has been doing a lot in this game itself, but I do kind of feel like this is our first game where we can really say Vivid has been in absolute control start to finish.
Yeah, that he has. He breaks into the main, gets on top of the production. The Widowmines do not even get their shots off, and GG gets called.
Vivid is going to be your next player qualifying for ANZ Champs 2021 Season 2. Very well played. A very close series, despite the score being kind of a clean sweep here. But the games themselves definitely very close. I would not be surprised at all if Akon is another one of the players qualifying in the lower bracket. Just from the lower bracket. Again, he was able to qualify last season, and he was a bit of an underdog. You know, I think a lot of people are kind of saying, you know, if Akon, kind of a wild card here, might not be it's looking a little bit shaky whether or not he's able to qualify, or if he even signs up for the qualifiers. But I'm so glad he did decide to sign up today.
Mm.
Those some very intense games.
Oh god, they really were, and even though it's a 3-0, like, and there are going to be some people that didn't tune in today, and they're just going to look at the bracket. That doesn't really tell the tale of what just happened,
Yeah.
right? Because again, game 2, I felt like really was kind of Acon's game, right? Like, he was the dominant player there in many ways. So yeah, the 3-0, even though it was a 3-0 in Vivid's favor, it was so much closer than that.
Yeah, I feel like if I didn't watch those games and I looked at a bracket and was like, oh yeah, 3-0 Vivid, yeah, that's kind of to be expected, but watch the games. Catch the replays if you can. You will... No, I'm not sure if we're allowed to give them out. CSL rules.